Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to our midweek program for part one of our brand new series on the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. We'd like to start off this program by thanking each and every one of you for attending our previous programs so enthusiastically. We've had great success with our previous series, The Nine Processes of Bhakti. And today we begin this very special series on the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. And for each program, we're going to be hearing on an individual Goswami and their glories. Today, we're very lucky to have His Grace Shyam Bihari Prabhu, who's a returning speaker on this program. His Grace Shyam Bihari Prabhu is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami. Joining Krishna consciousness in 2000, he took first initiation in 2010 and a second initiation in 2012. Prabhu has rendered invaluable service to ISKCON of Atlanta, arranging many big festivals and programs, leading many Namahatas and Bhakti Vrikshas, which he still leads now in North Atlanta, and also being a guiding light for those young and old. And we appreciate everything he's done, and we look forward to everything he's going to do in the future. So without further ado, Prabhu, I'd like to hand over to you to begin today's class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for your kind words. My most humble obeisances to the organizers and to all the devotees who are assembled here today. It's my great fortune that I get to talk on one of our greatest acharyas, though I am totally unqualified to even attempt to speak about Srila Rupa Goswami, but I pray to my Guru Maharaj and I pray to Srila Prabhupada that they may be kind enough to put some words in my mouth so that I may be able to share some of my understanding and some very small realizations with all the devotees who are gathered here. So I beg at your lotus feet to tolerate me for the next 1 hour. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pad Kamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I would like to start off first by talking about the Shad Goswami, the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, before I start talking about Srila Rupa Goswami. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a very wonderful verse in chapter 11, which goes like this: Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yakye Sankirtana Prayer Jajanti Sumedasaha. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. This verse is very significant in the Srimad Bhagavatam because it announces the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It clearly says that Krishna will appear in a color which is not Krishna's color, which is not his complexion, and he will appear with his associates, his servants, his weapons, his confidential companions, and he will also introduce in this Kali Yuga the Yuga Dharma, which is the Sankirtana Yagya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we know, is that form of Krishna who's in the golden form. He's not in the color of Krishna, not in the complexion of Krishna. He's in the mode of Srimati Radharani, in the golden color of Srimati Radharani, and he comes with the weapon of holy name. He doesn't come with any other weapon but the name of the weapon of the holy name. And he comes with his associates, as is mentioned in this verse. You see, he comes with Nityananda, who is none other than Balram. He comes with Advaita Acharya, who is the first Purusha Avatara or Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu is in the mood of Lord Shiva. It's a combination of Mahavishnu and Shiva. And then he comes with Gadadhar, who is none other than Srimati Radharani. And of course, if you have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, then you have to have, or even if you have Krishna, you have to have his greatest devotee. And his greatest devotee is, of course, Narada Muni. And so Narada Muni is Srivas Thakur. So these are his closest associates. But then when Radharani comes, then she always comes with Lalita Sakhi and Vishaka Sakhi. It can't happen that she goes anywhere without them. And so in Chaitanya Leela, we see that when Radharani comes as Gadadhar Pandit, Lalita Sakhi, she comes as Sarup Damodar, and Vishaka Sakhi, she comes as Krishna, I forgot the name. Sorry?
Ramanandarai.
Ramanandarai, sorry. Thank you. So she comes as Ramanandarai. And then when Lalita Sakhi comes with Radharani, then with Lalita Sakhi comes all her servants and all the manjaris, right? And so there are 6 primary manjaris who come when Lalita Sakhi comes in Chaitanya Leela. And those 6 manjaris are none other than our 6 Goswamis. And those 6 manjaris, Rupa Manjari is Rupa Goswami, and Rati Manjari, also sometimes called as Lavanga Manjari, she comes as Sanatan Goswami. Then you have Ananga Manjari, who is Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And then Raga Manjari, she is Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. And Rasa Manjari, who is Raghunath Das Goswami. And Vilasa Manjari, who is Jiva Goswami. So these are our 6 Goswamis. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. Sanatan is, of course, the eldest. Rupa is younger to Sanatan. Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami, and Jiva Goswami, who's the nephew of Rupa Goswami. So these 6 Goswamis are the Shad Goswami, or the Goswamis that are the architects of our movement. They are the closest associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entrusts them with the most important aspects of this movement. As we will proceed, we will see how Mahaprabhu instructs them. So these are the 6 Goswamis who actually are most instrumental in our movement. Everything that we do, we follow in the path of these 6 Goswamis. And if I want to talk about these 6 Goswamis, then the best way that I can talk about is by the song or the poetry that was presented by Sri Srinivasa Acharya, which is the Shad Goswami that we sing so often. So in that Shad Goswami, the second verse is what is so important to all of us. In that it says, Nana Shastra Vicharanaiko Nipano Sadadharma Samsthapako Lokanam Hitkarino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. So this verse is very, very significant in the Shad Goswami poetry, which is written by Srinivasa Acharya. It says, let me read it so I get this absolutely right. I don't want to put my own words. It says, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are always engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna and dancing. They are just like the ocean of God, and they are popular both with the gentle and with the ruffians. And thus, because they are non-envious of anyone, whatever they do, they are all pleasing to everyone, and they are fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya. Thus, they are engaged in missionary activities meant to deliver all the conditioned souls in the material universe. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswami, who are very much enriched in understanding of Lord Chaitanya, and who are thus expert in narrating his transcendental qualities. They can purify all conditioned souls from the reactions of their sinful activities by pouring them transcendental songs about Govinda. As such, they are very expert in increasing the limits of the ocean of transcendental bliss, and they are the saviors of the living entities from the devouring mouth of liberation. I offer respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis who were engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord and bowing down in a scheduled measurement. In this way, they utilize their valuable lives, and in executing these devotional activities, they conquered over eating and sleeping, and were always meek and humble, enchanted by remembering the transcendental qualities of the Lord. And finally, they are uniquely expert in ascertaining the essence of all revealed scriptures, which is the meaning of the verse I read. They are uniquely expert in ascertaining the essence of all revealed scriptures, and they establish the supreme occupation of the soul, which is Bhagavat Bhakti. They are the true benefactors of the people, worshipful for the 3 worlds, and affectionate to those who have taken shelter of them. Due to the bliss of bhajana of the lotus feet of Sri Radha Krishna, they have become like intoxicated honeybees. I worship Sri Rupa, Sanatana, Raghunath Bhatta, Raghunath Das, Jiva, and Gopala Bhatta Goswami. So I just chose these 4 verses which glorify the Shad Goswami. It shows that how much they were focused on saving every single living being on this planet. They gave up everything that they have so that they could save the conditioned souls in this world. I don't think there is any words that can be said beyond what has been given by Srinivasa Acharya in this wonderful, wonderful poetry in glorification of the 6 Goswamis. They were truly, totally dedicated in order to save every single living being in this world. Now, we are actually followers of Srila Prabhupada. We are Prabhupada Nugas, as we call ourselves, Prabhupada Nugas, following in the path of Srila Prabhupada. But we know that Srila Prabhupada was a true Rupa Nuga. He followed in the path of Sri Rupa Goswami. He gave us all the writings, all the scriptures of Srila Rupa Goswami in English, so that anyone can take the mercy of Srila Rupa Goswami and perfect his life in this lifetime itself and achieve service unto the lotus feet of Sri Radha and Krishna. This is the path of Rupanuga Bhakti. Of course, we are all in the Vaidhi Bhakti stage. We are still practicing. I don't know what everyone is. Wrong for me to say that. At least for myself, I can say that I'm still at the Vaidhi Bhakti stage, practicing Bhakti and hoping that one day, by the mercy of Guru and Srila Prabhupada, I can taste Rupanuga Bhakti as well. So Rupanuga Bhakti is ultimately our goal, where we achieve Krishna Prema through following the path of Srila Rupa Goswami. So Srila Prabhupada was a true Rupanuga. There's a story which goes that when he was in the Radha Damodar temple, when Srila Prabhupada was in the Radha Damodar temple, he was in great anxiety. The reason he was in anxiety was because he had been entrusted by his spiritual master that he should take the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. And Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he was very concerned that how he would be able to fulfill the order of his Guru. So he was busy in transcribing or translating the Canto 1 of the Srimad Bhagavatam while he was at the Radha Damodar temple. But in the nights, he was always begging for mercy from the acharyas so that with their mercy, he would be able to fulfill the order of his spiritual master. There is one priest who was in Sri Radha Damodar temple. He actually says, I've read it myself and heard it from so many others, that he actually said that when he was at the Radha Damodar temple, in the nights he could hear some sobbing, he could hear some crying, and for a few nights he just ignored it and went back to sleep. But then one night it was so intense that he had to get up and try to find out the source from where this crying was coming. And he describes how he saw in the courtyard, Srila Prabhupada was actually cleaning the courtyard with a broom, and he was crying and he was praying to Srila Rupa Goswami that, oh Rupa Goswami, please have mercy on me. My Guru Maharaj has entrusted me with such a big project, with such a big objective of taking the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the West. I am incapable, I am unqualified, I do not know how I will achieve this, but if your mercy is upon me, then I can definitely make this happen. So he was sobbing, he was shedding tears, and he was crying to Srila Rupa Goswami that please help me so that I may be able to fulfill the orders of my Guru Maharaj. So this priest explains this, how he saw this particular scene, and he could understand how dedicated Srila Prabhupada was to his Guru, and how determined he was that somehow or the other he would fulfill the vow of the instruction of his spiritual master. And that's why he was begging our acharyas, especially Srila Rupa Goswami, for their mercy. And we saw what happened. We saw how Srila Prabhupada was able to fulfill the order of his spiritual master. In fact, we have heard so many other stories that Srila Rupa Goswami was always there with Srila Prabhupada, always inspiring him, always encouraging him, and telling him to keep going, keep moving, we are with you, and everything will be fine. And so it was through the acharyas, through Srila Rupa Goswami, that all this mercy came to us through Srila Prabhupada. And we should understand that the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami through the Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction and so many other books was revealed to us, was actually revealed to us only by Srila Prabhupada. And so as we follow in the path of Srila Prabhupada, we must also understand how much of debt we owe to Srila Rupa Goswami, who's the primary Acharya, who's the primary Goswami among the Shat Goswamis. And so to talk about Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, and they also had a third brother who was Sri Vallabha. These three were actually born in Bengal, and due to circumstances, they were forced to work for the Muslim king there. It is said that they had to work for the Muslim king. They were coerced to work for the Muslim king because they knew multiple languages and they had a lot of capabilities that the Shah at that time wanted. And so they were coerced into working for him. Now, because they were working for a Muslim king, they were also ostracized by society. They were banished. They were totally outcast by the Brahmana society. Being Brahmanas by birth, they were outcast and they were ostracized. But in spite of that, they continued their prescribed duties working for the Shah, but they were never happy. They were always waiting. They had heard about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they were always waiting when the Lord will give them the mercy. And it is said that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Ramkeli, at that time when they heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to Ramkeli, they immediately, all three brothers, they went to get the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The third brother, Sri Vallabh, also had a small son who was Jiva, and Jiva also went with them, and from far he was observing the beauty and the glory of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, it is said they fell on the feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and paid their obeisances and begged for his mercy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very merciful and told them that they will be soon relieved by Lord Sri Krishna and they would be able to find service for the pleasure of Lord Sri Krishna. And so it is, as the story goes, Sri Rupa Goswami and Sri Sanatan Goswami were waiting for that opportunity when they could get away from the service that they were doing to this Muslim king. They gave away all the money, all the wealth they had. And if you really want to know how much wealth they had, I once heard it being described that if we take one of the big boats that we see in the river, and if we fill it completely from end to end, from corner to corner with gold coins, you can imagine how much that is, right? That is also insignificant compared to the wealth that Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami had. That's how opulent, how much opulence and wealth they had. And they were greatly respected by this Muslim ruler because they were very good at their jobs. Whatever they did it perfectly. And so when they were trying to escape from this Nawab Hussain Shah, Rupa Goswami managed to get away, but Sri Sanatan Goswami had to spend some time in prison. So Rupa Goswami, when he got away, he got away at the time when he came to know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on the way to Vrindavan. And it is said that he met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Prayag. At Prayag, he received the complete mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was hugged by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he received direct instructions from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mainly two instructions that he received from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One was to resurrect the Vrindavan Dham. Excuse me. To resurrect the Vrindavan Dham, to resurrect all the places where the wonderful Leela of Krishna had happened. The temples of Vrindavan, which had been destroyed by the previous Muslim kings, he was told that he should restore those temples. The second instruction that he received from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was that he should write books. The books should be about the Vaishnava philosophy. It should provide an understanding of Sri Radha and Krishna. It should describe the wonderful pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna. And in that place, Prayag, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed to Rupa Goswami all the wonderful leelas of Sri Radha and Krishna and the transcendental mellows in those leelas. And that is what Sri Rupa Goswami gave us through the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or the nectar of devotion. So at this first meeting with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Prayag, he received the complete mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And after that, he returned to Vrindavan. He went on to Vrindavan, and there he spent most of his life in fulfilling the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I do need to let you know that he was initiated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as was his brother Sanatan Goswami, as well as his younger brother Vallabha. Vallabha was given the name Anupama, and Sri Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami had the names Rupa and Sanatana. And so they came to Vrindavan, and there they started working diligently on the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is said that they would spend almost all their time on chanting the holy names, or writing books, or serving the people, whoever they came in association with. So this was their entire life. 24 hours they were engaged in service to Mahaprabhu's instructions, or to the Vrindavan Dham, or to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how do we know this? Is because we see so many different times when Srila Rupa Goswami talks about the importance of every second of his day, of his time, that it should be spent in the service of Krishna. It is said that once a very great debater actually came to Vrindavan and wanted to debate Rupa Goswami, because he wanted to prove that he was more knowledgeable and that he could defeat Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami considered this as so mundane that he told this debater that I do not have any knowledge. I have no way that I can beat you. You're so elevated. You're so wonderful a debater. And so this debater said, okay, if that's the case, why don't you sign this paper telling that you accept defeat? And Rupa Goswami had no hesitation at all. He didn't consider it worth his time to even talk or discuss or debate with this person. And he had no hesitation signing that he was defeated in debate by so-and-so. So that is the qualities of Rupa Goswami that we can truly appreciate. He truly valued every moment of his time that he had on this planet, and every moment of his time was spent in the service of Krishna, in the service of Mahaprabhu. He was totally dedicated to always being focused on the goal of fulfilling the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kavi Karnapura, actually not Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Chaitanya Chandrodaya, Kavi Karnapura gives a very nice dialogue between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and some devotees who had returned from Vrindavan. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks these devotees, how is Rupa and Sanatan Goswami doing in Vrindavan? Are they eating? How do they spend their day? So the response that he got, I have brought it down. It's so beautiful. We should all really enjoy the nectar and understand the commitment of the Shada Goswamis. So one of the devotees who returned from Vrindavan, he told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the brothers actually have no fixed residence. They reside beneath trees, one night under one tree and the next night under another. Srila Rupa and Sanatan Goswami beg a little food from the house of Brahmanas. They give up all kinds of material enjoyment, and they take only some dry bread and fried chickpeas. So that is what they used to, where they used to live and what they used to eat. Then next, they carry only water pots. That means they had no other possession. They carry only water pots, and they wear torn quilts. Torn quilts means those which were thrown away, which were of no use to others. Those were the quilts that they would take, because it gets cold in Vrindavan and you do have to take care of your body if you want to serve the Lord. So they would carry only water pots and they would wear torn quilts. And they always chant the holy names of Krishna and discuss his pastimes. In great jubilation, they also dance. So that is what they own, and that is what their occupation is. What is their occupation? Chanting the holy names of Krishna and discussing his pastimes. They had no other occupation. And in great jubilation, because they would go into ecstasy, they would dance. they engage almost 24 hours daily in rendering service to the Lord. They usually sleep only an hour and a half, and some days when they continuously chant the Lord's holy names, they do not sleep at all. So you can see how they used to pass their day. How beautifully this describes. They spend 24 hours in rendering service to the Lord. They sleep only an hour and a half. Only an hour and a half. Prabhupada also used to sleep only 2 hours. So he was true Rupa Nuga. He always used to follow the path of Rupa. And so we know that he also used to sleep not more than 2 hours. And so here you see that they used to sleep an hour and a half. And some days they would not sleep at all because they were so engrossed in chanting the Lord's holy names. Sometimes they wrote transcendental literatures about devotional services, and sometimes they would hear about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and spend their time thinking about the Lord. So they were always in remembrance of Krishna. They were always in remembrance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They would write transcendental literatures like we are benefiting from now, Laghu Brahma Bhagavatamrita, which is such a beautiful book written by Sri Rupa Goswami. He has also written wonderful prayers, wonderful plays, I should say, Lalita Madhava and Vidagdha Madhava. Those are some extremely wonderful books that we can read from and learn from it. He has also written a book called Ujjvala Nilamani, in which he describes so beautifully all the gopis of Vrindavan. He describes the Rasa Leela. He describes why some gopis got the benefit of Rasa Leela and the others could not join. In those books, there is so much nectar that one's whole life can pass just by relishing reading these books and at the end, achieving servitude to Srila Rupa Goswami. Very wonderful books that have been written by Srila Rupa Goswami. So this is what they used to do. They used to write transcendental literatures about devotional service. And they would hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they would spend their time thinking about the Lord. That is the beauty of of these Sat Goswamis. Now, when Rupa Goswami met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the first time, he got these instructions from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then he got to meet, this was the second time, because the first time he met at Ramakheli, second time he met at Prayag, and the third time he went to attend the Rath Yatra at Puri, and Mahaprabhu was in Puri at that time. And it is said that he stayed there during the Rath Yatra, and when the Rath Yatra was over, then he stayed over so that he would get some more association of all the wonderful associates of Mahaprabhu and some association of Mahaprabhu himself. And so Mahaprabhu was very happy to see him there, and he allowed him to stay with Haridas Thakur. And so it is said that when Rupa Goswami was there with Haridas Thakur, at that time he achieved a lot of mercy of all the devotees, and he also achieved the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now here in Puri, we're going to spend some time because some very wonderful pastimes happened, and we can understand how special Srila Rupa Goswami is and how much he was loved by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see that Krishnadas Kaviraj, he reveals this to us, that Srila Rupa Goswami had the complete mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so much so that he could understand the innermost heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Rupa Goswami had complete understanding of the innermost half of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so much so that even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was surprised at how much Srila Rupa Goswami, his poetry, his plays and all resonated with his innermost thoughts. And so we'll spend some time here to try to understand this, because it's a very important part of our bhakti too. We can see how Srila Rupa Goswami presents his shastras, his poetries and all for our benefit. And some of the verses we will read and describe, because those are some verses that are very famous in ISKCON. They are talked about a lot. Some are even sung in different ways, but the essence of it is very, very important. So it is said one day when Rupa Goswami was wanting to go for his bath in the sea. He would go every day to the sea in Jagannath Puri to have his bath. He had written 2 verses on a piece of paper, and he put that piece of paper on the thatched roof of that hut in which he was staying. And so he went towards the sea. But in between, what happened is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to meet him. When he came to meet him, he saw that paper which was stuck in the thatched roof. And he took that paper and he started reading it. And when he started reading it, it is said Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went into complete ecstasy. He was so ecstatic, he was so happy that he could not contain himself. And so at that time, Rupa Goswami returned after having taken his bath, and seeing Mahaprabhu there, he offered his obeisances to Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu hugged him and asked him that how come you understand my innermost feelings so nicely? These 2 verses that you have written, they are so beautiful that I want to hear it over and over and over again. These 2 verses are given in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj, and they're in the Antya Leela chapter 1. So I will just attempt to read those 2 verses before we go on further with this description. They're very beautiful verses, and if you get a chance, then try to read these verses as many times as you can, because it will really help in our purification. It is, these verses are like so pleasing to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who recites it, anyone who reads it also, Mahaprabhu is ecstatic. And that's our whole goal. Our whole goal is to please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so these 2 verses are very, very pleasing to Mahaprabhu. So I will attempt to read these. Please forgive me if my reading mode or I make some mistake, because the wordings are all in Sanskrit, but I'll try my best. Ya kumara hara sa eva hi varasta eva chaitra kshapas te cho milita malati surabhaya pradah kara kadam bin panela sa chaivasmi tathapi surata vyapara lila vidhao reva rodhasi vetasi tarutale chetaha samutkanthate. So what's the meaning of this? That very personality who stole my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of Malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I am also the same lover, yet still my mind is not happy here. I am eager to go back to that place on the bank of the Reva under the Vetashi tree. That is my desire. This is in Antya Leela, chapter 1, verse 78. This is really representing the feelings of Sri Radharani. This happens when Sri Radharani comes to Kurukshetra and is wanting to take Krishna back to Vrindavan. And so in this verse, she is expressing her feelings. She's saying that very personality who stole my heart. So that personality she's referring to as Krishna. As you know, in Vrindavan, there was no life for Radharani other than Krishna. Of course, every time Radharani's life is only Krishna, but in Vrindavan, especially before Krishna left in his earthly Leela, she was totally focused on the happiness of Krishna. And that's why she's saying here, that very personality who stole my heart during my youth is now again my master. She says during my youth, but remember that Radharani is always youthful, but she considers herself in terms of the amount of time she has been on this earth planet, not in terms of her physical youth, right? So when she says during my youth, she means in the earlier part of her time when she was in Vrindavan. So one must understand scrutinizingly what is being said here. So when she says during my youth, that means in the earlier part when Krishna was in Vrindavan. And now he's again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. So in month of Chaitra, in the moonlit nights, Krishna would perform wonderful pastimes with the gopis of Vrindavan and with Radharani. And that is what she is remembering. The same fragrance of Malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. So she is describing the environment in which she and Krishna used to meet. Again, this is in remembrance of those times. In our intimate relationship, I am also the same lover, yet still my mind is not happy here. So when she says here, she's talking about Kurukshetra. She says, I am the same, Krishna is the same, right? But I'm not happy here. Why? Because it's not Vrindavan. Kurukshetra is not Vrindavan. So my mind is not happy here. I am eager to go back to the place on the bank of the Reva under the Vetashi tree. That's where on the banks of the Yamuna river, they used to perform wonderful pastimes under the trees there. So that is where she wants to be with Krishna. That is my desire. And so as we know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Radharani. And so these are exactly the feelings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in separation from Krishna. And that is the reason why when he reads this verse that Srila Rupa Goswami put together, at that time, all those feelings of separation are basically symbolized by this verse. It's like they took the literary form. His feelings took this literary form. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could immediately understand that what Rupa Goswami was describing was his feelings of separation from Krishna, because he was in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And so this is exactly how he was feeling in separation from Krishna. So when he read this verse, he was so ecstatic. He was so overjoyed that he could not control himself. And so he was totally mystified that how Srila Rupa Goswami can so beautifully explain his feelings of separation from Sri Krishna. Then the second verse which comes is 179. This is so popular a verse. No, not this verse. There's a third verse as well. So in this verse, she continues, Sri Radharani continues in 179. Priya soyam Krishna sahachari kurukshetra militas tataham sarada tad idam ubayo sangama sukham tathapi antya khelan madura murali panchama juse mano me kalindi pulina vipanaya sprahayati. My dear friend, now I have met my very old and dear friend Krishna on this field of Kurukshetra. I am the same Radharani, and now we are meeting together. It is very pleasant, but I would still like to go to the bank of the Yamuna beneath the trees of the forest there. I wish to hear the vibration of a sweet flute playing the fifth note within that forest of Vrindavan. So this is the second verse that follows the first, and you can see this is an extension of the same feeling. She says that now I'm meeting my dear Krishna. I am the same Radharani, and now we are meeting. But it is pleasant, no question, because I'm with Krishna. But I would still like to be on the banks of the Yamuna beneath the trees of the forest. What is more important is the last statement. She says, I wish to hear the vibration of a sweet flute. That is what is missing in Kurukshetra, because the flute is not there. Krishna is in the role of Dwarkadish. He's in the kingly role. He is not in the role of a cowherd boy. So the flute is not there. And so that is what she's missing. She's saying, I wish to hear the vibration of a sweet flute playing the fifth note within that forest of Vrindavan. What is this fifth note? Now, Krishna's flute has got many notes, and for each note, the corresponding reaction, the corresponding events that happen are different. So when he plays the fifth note, it is said that the fifth note can only be heard by the gopis and Srimati Radharani. It is a call from Krishna to the gopis and Sri Radharani to come to him, and so that he can perform rasa. That's the fifth note that is being described here. And so she's missing that fifth note, because that fifth note, whenever she hears, she knows that Krishna is waiting for her and that she must leave everything and she must go to Krishna. And that is what she is missing. After being away from Krishna for 100 years, this fifth note was absent for all that time when Krishna was away. And so naturally she's missing that flute and that fifth note that she used to hear in Vrindavan when Krishna would call out to her. And so here Rupa Goswami in this beautiful verse has described that feelings of Srimati Radharani in separation from Krishna. And that is exactly the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he meets his associates, when he goes back from Rupa Goswami's hut, and then he asks them that how come Rupa Goswami have understood my heart. He asks his associates, right? So no one could otherwise understand this meaning. I can therefore guess that previously you bestowed upon him your causeless mercy. This is Swarup Damodar, who's replying to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's saying no one could otherwise understand this meaning. As you know, he is Lalita Sakhi, right? So he knows the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so he's saying no one could otherwise understand this meaning. I can therefore guess that previously you bestowed upon him your causeless mercy. So he says it must be your causeless mercy because of which Rupa Goswami can understand your innermost feelings and can write so beautifully and express so beautifully your separation from Krishna. So it must be your causeless mercy which was bestowed upon him, because of which he is able to express this so beautifully. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Rupa Goswami met me at Prayag. Knowing him to be a suitable person, I naturally bestowed my mercy upon him. So Mahaprabhu is agreeing. He's saying, yes, I did bestow my mercy upon him at Prayag, right? So I thereupon also bestowed upon him my transcendental potency. So as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had instructed Rupa Goswami to resurrect the Vrindavan Dham and to prepare these wonderful transcendental books so that it would help propagate the Vaishnava philosophy. So he had empowered him, right? When a spiritual master normally instructs his disciple to do something, with that he also empowers his disciple always. Always he empowers, he acts through that disciple. The disciple becomes his instrument. And so here also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he instructed Rupa Goswami, he empowered him, right? And here is what Swarup Damodar is saying, that you bestowed your mercy means it is you actually who is actually working through Rupa Goswami. That's exactly what he's trying to say. And so Mahaprabhu agrees. He says, yes, I bestowed upon him my transcendental potency. Now you should also give instructions, in particular, instruct him in transcendental mellows. So Mahaprabhu is telling Swarup Damodar that you also gave Rupa Goswami instructions. Instruct him in the transcendental mellows. The reason why Mahaprabhu is saying is because he knows that Swarup Goswami, Swarup Damodar is Lalita Sakhi, and so she will be able to reveal the transcendental mellows to Rupa Goswami. So he's telling him that please you also give him instructions, and in particular instruct him on the transcendental mellows. Then Swarup Damodar says, as soon as I saw the unique composition of this verse, I could immediately understand that you had bestowed upon him your special mercy. That's a very big glorification of Rupa Goswami, because Swarup Damodar is saying, As soon as I saw the unique composition of this verse, unique means nobody else can express it in this way. It had to be Mahaprabhu acting through Rupa Goswami. That is why he's saying, I could immediately understand that you had bestowed upon him your special mercy. By seeing a result, one can understand the cause of that result. So seeing this verse, I could understand that this was you yourself. And so it is said that afterwards, after a few days, again, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met in accompaniment of his associates with Rupa Goswami, at that time, he also wanted to let his other associates know about the glories of Rupa Goswami. And so he told Rupa Goswami that, why don't you please read those two verses? Please read those two verses again. And Rupa Goswami was very shy and he did not want to do it. He was afraid of being glorified by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He did not want glorification by Mahaprabhu. He wanted to glorify Mahaprabhu instead. And so he kept quiet. Not that he was disobeying Mahaprabhu's instructions, but because he was for his own purification, so that he may not be glorified by Mahaprabhu and develop pride, he was keeping quiet. And so Sarup Damodar helped him out. It is said that Sarup Damodar stepped forward and he actually recited these verses. And so after reciting these two verses, he recited one more verse, which was in that play, which is Vidagda Madhava. And this is the verse that I was talking about. It's very famous in ISKCON, and it is often sung about, and it is heard about, and it is so inspiring to all of us. So again, I will try to read this verse to the best of my ability. I'm not so qualified. I'm not so good chanter or reciter of verses, but I'll try. Unde tada viniratim vitanute tundavali labdhaye karna krodha kadam vini ghatayate karna rabhude bhaya shrapam chetaha prangana sangini vijayate sarvendriyanam kritim najane janita kiyadabhir amritay krishneti varnadvai. Now the meaning is what is the most important. And I'm sure that everyone in ISKCON, every one of you have heard this. It is such a beautiful verse. I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. When that name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of years. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and therefore all the senses become inert. Such a beautiful verse. How much glorification of the holy name is in this one verse. Every one of us should relish this verse because it shows how nectarian the holy name is, that we wish that we had thousands of tongues by which we could recite the holy names, by which we wish that we had thousands of ears through the holes of which this holy chanting of the holy name would enter and go into the courtyard of the heart and there start dancing in my heart. Such a beautiful description. I'll read it once again if you all don't mind. I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. The word Krishna, even if you in your own solitude, I mean, when you're alone in some small room and all, just close your eyes and say Krishna and see how you feel. It's like that word, when it goes into your heart and into your mind, it produces so much bliss and so much happiness. So that is why here it is said, I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. As Prabhupada says, that whenever we chant, Krishna is dancing on our tongue. And that is what is being said here also. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. If there is nectar in one mouth, you would want more and more mouths so that you can really relish the nectar, like eating gulab jamun or rasgulla, right? One mouth, okay, one mouth you can take one at a time, right? But if you had 1,000 mouths, you could taste 1,000 rasagullas at the same time. That's like a crude analogy, but it gives you some idea that if you really relish the nectar of the holy names, it's like those rasagullas in 1,000 mouths. When the name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of years, because when that holy name goes through the ears in the heart, we feel so blissful, so nectarian. I once heard that when you feel blissful, when you feel happy, when you feel nectarian, that is the proof that you have pleased Krishna. That's the proof that the Paramatma in the heart is pleased. So if you want to really know that you're chanting nicely, if you're pleasing Krishna, use this as an example. This is what I heard. This is just me. I have not reached that stage. I'm just sharing. So if you feel real bliss and nectar when you're chanting, right, that is the proof. Because when the Paramatma is happy, then you're happy. That happiness flows from the Paramatma into us, because we are face to face. We are in the same region, the soul and the super soul. And so there's complete ecstasy. That whole environment in the heart is so auspicious and so nectarian that one feels like dancing and chanting, dancing and singing when they are blissful. So that is how it should be when we chant the holy names too. So when all the devotees of Sri Mahaprabhu, especially Ramananda Rai, heard this verse, they were all filled with transcendental bliss and were struck with wonder. Everyone admitted that although they had heard many statements glorifying the holy name of the Lord, they had never heard such sweet description as those of Rupa Goswami. This description of the holy name is the ultimate. There cannot be any higher explanation or description that can please the heart. This particular verse of Rupa Goswami, the description and the way it is presented is the ultimate. And you can see like Ramananda Rai, who's Vishaka Sakhi, and all the other associates who are all associates of the Lord from the spiritual world, they are all struck with wonder. They're all struck with wonder. And they're clearly saying that although they had heard many statements glorifying the holy name of the Lord, they had never heard such sweet description as those of Rupa Goswami. This is our primary Acharya, Sri Rupa Goswami. Our primary Acharya. You can understand how fortunate we are, how blessed we are, being in that lineage coming from Sri Rupa Goswami. Obviously, we have earned the causeless mercy of the Lord, because at least I cannot think of any pious activity that I could have done in all my previous births or even in this birth that would make me fortunate to have earned this. This has to be the causeless mercy of the Lord, and somehow or the other, I have been given an opportunity to be in this lineage stock coming from Sri Rupa Goswami. So we must all be very, very grateful, very thankful that we have been blessed to be part of this. Then it goes on, the wonderful descriptions of Rupa Goswami. This is again being described by Ramananda Rai. The wonderful descriptions of Rupa Goswami are superb arrangements to express loving affairs. Hearing them will plunge the heart and ears of everyone into a whirlpool of transcendental bliss. What is the use of a bowman's arrow or a poet's poetry if they penetrate the heart but do not cause the head to spin? Without your mercy, such poetic expressions would be impossible for an ordinary living being to write. My guess is that you have given him the power. This is glorification of Mahaprabhu, that you have given him the power because of which he is able to write so beautifully. And the arrangements, the wording arrangements and all is so superb that it expresses these loving affairs to its perfection. It expresses it to its perfection. So Mahaprabhu replies, I met Srila Prabhupada at Prayag. He attracted and satisfied me because of his qualities. And so he praised the metaphors and other literary ornaments of Srila Rupa Goswami's transcendental poetry. Without such poetic attributes, Mahaprabhu said, there is no possibility of preaching transcendental mellows. Seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mercy towards Srila Rupa Goswami and seeing his personal qualities, all the devotees were struck with wonder. So I've used these beautiful descriptions to describe the glories of Srila Rupa Goswami. Because for us to be able to talk about Srila Rupa Goswami is, at least for me, it is impossible. The glories of Rupa Goswami are unlimited, and one can talk about it for days and still there would be so much more to say, right? But I have used whatever the scriptures have given us in terms of Prabhupada's words, in terms of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's words, in the terms of words of his associates, in order to express the greatness of Srila Rupa Goswami. So when Srila Rupa Goswami heard Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu praising him, and when he heard Haridas Thakur telling him that he was so blessed to have achieved the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what was Rupa Goswami's reaction? I will just read 2 verses before I finish. I know I'm at the 1 hour mark, but please forgive me. I'll just take another couple of minutes. What Rupa Goswami says, Shri Rupo kahena ami kichu nai jani, ye Mahaprabhu kahana shei kahe pani. Shri Rupa Goswami says, I do not know anything. The only transcendental words I can utter are those which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes me speak. So Rupa Goswami, in a very humble state of mind, admits that these are not his words. As Srila Prabhupada, if you know, his mood was in the same mold of Sri Rupa Goswami. He often used to read his own books. And when he was asked by his disciples, he said that this is not me who has written this. This is all coming from Sri Krishna himself. And so even when I read it, I'm relishing it, as all of you should when you read my books. So in that same mode of Rupa Goswami, we saw Prabhupada also expressing. Then the second verse, Rupa Goswami says, Riddhi yasya prernaya pravartito ham varaka rupapi tasya hare pada kamalam vande chaitanya devasya. Although I am the lowest of men and have no knowledge, the Lord has mercifully bestowed upon me the inspiration to write transcendental literature about devotional service. Therefore, I offer my obeisances at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has given me the chance to write these books. So he attributes everything to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is the mode of all Vaishnavas, which is the mode of all devotees. One should always be very grateful and thankful for every opportunity to serve, and also understand that anything we do, anything we achieve, it is Krishna who is acting through us, and we must be well aware and grateful to the Lord. So praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatan, always desiring their mercy, I offer prostrated obeisances and beg for their mercy. That was my prayer at the end of this class. I am praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatana, always desiring their mercy. I offer prostrated obeisances and beg for their mercy. Thank you all so much for putting up with me. If I have said something or committed any offense, please forgive me. I have attempted in my most simple way to talk about a very elevated subject matter. I'm not sure if I did justice to it. I don't think I did. But if I was able to, even for a few minutes, be able to inspire you to take shelter of Sri Rupa Goswami, then my effort was successful. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna, Dandavas Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Bihari Prabhu, for that wonderful, wonderful class. I seriously could have went on and on just hearing from you, Prabhu. It was flowing out of you like nectar. So thank you so much for enlightening us on the glories of Srila Rupa Goswami. Dear devotees, I just want to see if there is anyone who may have a question or comment, thought, or realization that they'd like to share, you can go ahead and raise your hand now, and we can give you opportunity to speak. Is there anyone? Okay, Prabhu, I don't see anyone raising any questions. So thank you so much, Prabhu, for your very wonderful and amazing class. It was really, really just like sweet nectar to the ears. We look forward to seeing you again, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Pranams. Thank you.
So we'll move along now to the next part of the program, where we will just do a few announcements and then conclude the program. So just one moment while we draw up the announcements.
I think Karthik is having some technical difficulties, so we can just go over the announcements directly. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I think there may be yes, Rangesh Prabhu. There's a bit of a technical difficulty with the slides today, dear devotees. So we'll just run through the announcements quickly regarding some of the festivals that are coming up. Coming up in August, as we all know, there are some wonderful festivals, starting off with Balaram Jayanti, and then Krishna Janmashtami and Radha Ashtami. So those are the big festivals that are coming up in the near future. So devotees can please prepare accordingly for those. And yes, please stay tuned for the next part of our series, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. And also we have a wonderful Sunday program that we have lined up coming up this Sunday. So please check us out on our social media platforms to get updates with regards to all those details. And yes, we just like to thank everyone once again for joining us and being here with us, and to Shyam Bihari Prabhu for giving such an amazing class. We look forward to hearing from Prabhu again. So thank you everyone for being here. And today we will conclude a little bit early. Sorry for any inconvenience. Thank you everyone for being here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 3 times.
Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Thank you, dear devotees. We'll now take leave. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.